Hello, everyone, and for the first time in a long time, just over 2 weeks, in fact, nearly 3 weeks even, welcome to the MFW podcast. I'm Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. I'm joined finally by Henry Miller, Will Grant, and Jack Wright. The boys are back in town, and Norwich City are back in town. They've been doing rather well over their last 4 matches. They've not lost in any of them, and they've won 3 of them. We'll deep dive a bit more into the most recent one against Coventry City in a second. But it's been so long, chaps. But how have you all been? We're back. We're all sat down virtually, and we're going to have a big chat, almost like we're around a Christmas dinner table, albeit about 2 weeks too late. But how have you all been? And how was your Christmas? And how was your New Year's celebrations as well?
Well, I'll be honest. I've had a bit of a heart scare over this period because obviously you eat a lot and your heart rate goes up anyway. And then Norwich City leaving it late as well. It's just sent my heart into overdrive, I felt. So hopefully we'll get more routine wins going forward, ideally. But no, on a serious note, my festive period went really well. Got these nice headphones. And my girlfriend got me this because of my hatred of mushrooms. The world's greatest mushroom calendar that looks like an anus. So I won't be. Yeah.
Sorry,
I will not be using that. So that will be coming to a charity shop near you.
But just before someone else dives in, sorry to interrupt and disrupt the flow. If for our Spotify listeners who couldn't see the cover picture of that mushroom, it very much looked like someone's derriere, to put it kindly. But moving on, either Will or Jack, whoever wants to do it first. How was Christmas? How was the New Year's celebration?
Three words / phrases for me. Norwich winning, beer and darts. So it is just one of the most greatest times of the year, really. Apart from the summer, I just do love this kind of period of the year where we can just sit down, watch loads of sport, eat a lot of food as well, and all as well. I think Norwich have got 10 out of 12 points recently as well. So that is all good and brilliant, really. And Jack, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I left my house in Essex. I actually had Christmas in Norfolk with Delia Smith's own red cabbage recipe. I do go on about Delia's red cabbage a lot, but it is divine. It is the best. She is the queen of Christmas. But yeah, nice and chill. Everything was, fantastic. Lots of food. New Year's, I realised we had a bottle of champagne in the fridge. And for no reason, I popped it open. But no one else was in the mood to drink. So I just had a bottle of champagne to myself. I think I fell asleep at about 10. I did see the fireworks eventually. But yeah, kids, don't drink an entire bottle of champagne to yourself. Otherwise, you'll go sleepy like Uncle Jack.
So, Jack, what do you prefer at Christmas time? Delia Smith's red cabbage or Darren Huckabee?
Oh, well, I like Delia Smith's red cabbage, but I do also like Darren Huckabee. But which is better? There's only one way to find out. Fuck! Who's winning the fight between Delia Smith and Darren Huckabee?
No, between Delia Smith's red cabbage.
Oh, the cabbage.
No, I'm sorry. This could be the dirtiest euphemism. Delia's red. Oh God. Oh no.
I thought we were getting the nonsense out of the way before we started the video.
Get out. I said nothing.
You said you liked Delia's red cabbage. You brought that upon yourself, big man.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Anyway, have we got anything else on the agenda?
There's a few other things. Someone who also would have had a bottle of champagne all to himself was Amankwah Forson after he single-handedly got Norwich City 3 points against Coventry City yesterday afternoon, well, at the time of which we're recording this. His first 2 goals in English football and in a Norwich City shirt, and they couldn't have come at a better time, quite literally in a lot of different senses, whether that's the time of the season or the time of the match. 91st and 95th minute goals. Norwich were 1-0 down from I want to say the 24th minute, Lataboudiere laughed at Marcondes, and then Amankwah came on the pitch with 10 minutes to go, and he made the biggest impact he could have done. So we're now ditching the MyFootballWriter name. Sorry, Gary, Rick, and all the lads who contribute. We're now the Amankwah Forson Appreciation Society. So expect Amankwah Forson masks, Ghana shirts, Amankwah Forson haircuts. Although I've barely got any hair. What's that, Will? Go on.
Plant pots maybe as well.
Oh, plenty of plant pots. We'll call them Amankwah as well. So no, we'll all get very excited. But no, and much like the title of this suggests, due to some clever wording from Jack, Amankwah was a man qua on a mission. So no, he was brilliant. The Ghanaian great, as he's been labelled by quite a few. But if he doesn't score next week, he'll be the Ghanaian flop, with probably how quickly a fan base can turn in football. But no, let's just everyone give your thoughts. Carrow Road was in raptures, and it was pure scenery. They broke the advertising boards of the lower River End. I don't think the River End has seen that much carnage in donkey's years, but no, it was great. And sort of the overriding question for it all, where does that rank in terms of the all-time Carrow Road moments, or in terms of the late goals Carrow Road has witnessed sort of over the last 15 years?
I think it's certainly reminiscent of the 2018-19 season. Obviously, the two that I probably have in my head are both from that season against Millwall and Nottingham Forest. But this season, we have had the late show as well, with even the equaliser against QPR, the 4-4 draw against Middlesbrough. We left late as well. So, we have seemingly got a penchant for late goals this season. But no, that's the icing on the cake, I reckon. And I think a lot of people are obviously celebrating Amankwah Forson, and rightly so. And they're celebrating the way in which Norwich City won that game. But what is being lost in the shuffle, I feel, is just how good his equalising goal was. Bear in mind, we're losing the game. We're in stoppage time. And to hit it inch perfectly into the top corner takes some talent. So what a goal that was. And then as well, for Norwich just to be completely relaxed, just go again and pile the pressure on Coventry and get that last minute winner is just pure scenes, pure emotion. And yeah, it will live long in the memory. I know Jake Humphrey put a tweet out. He went with his son and he said memories would last a lifetime. Now, in hindsight, it's just a win against Coventry, I guess. But he is right. To some people who were there, they will be memories that last a lifetime, because you remember the dramatic goals and the dramatic moments in games for the rest of your life, for the rest of your Norwich City supporting life. So, yeah, it will definitely be a game that lives long in the memory. But something I did want to touch on there, Freddie, as well, is just how up and down the Christmas period has been. I can remember discourse between yourself and Will in our group chat after the QPR game, and games both of you went to. And I think you said, Freddie, that there were calls for Johannes Ofterup to be sacked from where you were in the ground. And bear in mind, that was, on the 29th of December, I think. And then a few days later, we go to Luton, who, yes, they are struggling, but they were in the Premier League last season, and get a very good win. And then we've left it late against Coventry. We probably did deserve the win, but it's not an all-time great Norwich City performance, but we've won that game, and Johannes Ofterup's the Messiah again. And don't get me wrong, I love Johannes Ofterup, but it is a typical Norwich season of going from one extreme to the other. So, yeah, I just think that's classic Norwich, really. But
nothing beats Championship football, does it? I think we were all aware that Forson has got only one probably competent foot, and my God, did he show it there. Absolutely fantastic strike. I don't know if the second or the first or both actually took any deflections, but still to have the bottle, to get into the right position to do and score a really, really important goal, or goal, should I say. It takes some doing. So I'm absolutely over the moon for Forson. I hope it actually gives them more confidence as well to try and kick on. Look, we've got a game against Brighton next week as well. So I think if he plays well in that game, then I think he can start to get some momentum. And although Forson has been a bit unaspiring this season, I did personally think it was quite harsh that he lost his place in the starting 11. I think it was during late November. So I'm finally glad that he has maybe given Johannes Hoff more of a reason to use him more frequently now, as he has that in his locker. Although I still think he probably prefers Schwartau and Sonach out wide in that role. Absolutely over the moon for him, really. And I think, obviously, as well, with now Somani being injured, it gives them maybe another option in midfield as well. So absolutely delighted for Forson. I had a beer on him last night as well. Who wouldn't? It was just an absolutely fantastic strike. And it's always the player you don't expect. But also, I can easily see a scenario as well where this could be like an only Forson memory from now on. So let's cherish this memory, because it was absolutely fantastic to watch.
I think this is the moment that Hofball needed. And I think, as Henry alluded to, when we think of Farker ball, we think of these brilliant moments. Vrancic against Sheffield Wednesday, you forgot your favourite player. Those moments all built towards something fantastic. But, you know, like you guys alluded to, it is a win against Coventry in the middle of the season when we're still kind of mid-table and it hasn't really amounted to anything. Obviously, will mean a huge deal if it's the difference between no points and 3 points. If we sneak over into the playoffs by a couple of points, that's when you're looking at this game as maybe being, you know, pivotal. And yeah, you might look at the performance in terms of it being 2 goals snatched late on as kind of not a tactical masterstroke, not a huge kind of improvement on recent performances, but it doesn't matter because results win games. We scored 2 goals and turned it around, and football is about these moments. It's why it's called the beautiful game. It was absolutely sensational. In terms of all-time moments, I think again it will come down to the consequences of this result. If we just end up losing the next 5, then we'll very quickly forget about it. I do hope that it's not Forson's only magical moment in a yellow shirt. Whether he will kind of kick on and actually be in the team a little bit more, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, in terms of our poor run of losing points from winning positions, that's now a late goal to get a point against QPR and 2 late goals to get 3 against Coventry. So we're kind of, you know, almost steadying the ship the other direction. And I'd much rather go the other direction and concede first and score lots of goals late. Or I'd just prefer to do what we did against Plymouth and just score 6 and look really comfortable. But there we go.
And in terms of our journalistic credentials, I must issue an apology to all of our listeners due to the fact that we've been getting the name of the team we just faced wrong for throughout that last segment. Of course, we didn't beat Coventry. We actually beat Frank Lampard's Coventry. So, yeah, it's better to address that now and get that apology out the way.
And yes, of course, we beat Wayne Rooney's Plymouth. Apologies again.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. Well, it was then, not anymore.
No, it was. No, but thank you for bringing that up, Henry, actually. That's very poor from all of us. Sincerest apologies to Frank Lampard himself. I'm sure that will touch his heart, and he'll be very happy that we referred to his side as his, as Jack does the little... Anyone who's seen the Frank Lampard in all seriousness memes from the last few years, he's just done a quick laugh and he's snapped back to a serious face, but he's happy now. He's smiling again. Lampard's not smiling. I am, though, and I'm a very happy boy. But no, we move on. We move on from nonsense, which we very easily go into. But we'll go back to Mr. Amankwah. Where do you think that after that cameo, a 10-minute cameo, where he was probably just told, just try and do something to impact the game, or maybe he could have been told, like, oh, just stay back a little bit, make sure we don't concede on a late counter, and we'll just try and sneak this. But he goes ahead, scores 2 goals. Yannis Off-Torap says that he spoke to him about ping pong or something like that. They played a game of ping pong before the match, and Forson beat him. So now Torap thinks that they should just play ping pong before every match. If it means Forson's going to score late winners every week, play as much as you want. Go to the Olympics for Ghana and go play some ping pong for all I care. But no, where do you think Forson's first team sort of, in terms of selection, where do you think that cameo sort of, does that bolster him as a first choice option, or should we not really base it off of just a 10-minute performance? And even though he won Norwich the game, and even it looked as if was just going to save Norwich a point, let alone get all 3, should we base it off of that, or is it a bit too premature to slot him into the starting 11 straight away?
I think he's definitely put himself back, right back into the conversation in terms of starting. As I think it was Will alluded to, he had that period in the team sort of throughout mid to late November where I actually thought he played all right. I remember going to the Plymouth game, and for me, he was quite good there, linked up with Jack Stacey quite well, and I was quite impressed with him. But even when results haven't been going that well over the just before the festive period, I thought that Oscar Schwartau on the wing looked quite good, and a lot of people have probably been saying that when we were playing right wing roulette at the midway point of the season, that Schwartau has probably been the one to sort of make that position his own, or make it his own for now until we actually sign an out-and-out right winger. So, I think he's definitely brought himself back up into the conversation. What I find interesting as well is before the game, Yannis Off-Torap in his press conference was talking about his midfield options. Didn't even mention Amankwah Forson. So maybe sort of he'd fallen a bit down the pecking order and was only really seen as that sub who you do give the last 10 minutes of the game to and nothing else. So he's definitely brought himself back up, and I'd like to see him now push on and get a few starts. As you said, Freddie, it's Brighton up next, and whilst I think we probably will lose that, and there's no shame in losing to a decent Premier League team like Brighton, it would be perfect for Amankwah Forson to start that game and hopefully put in a good performance in front of the Carrow Road faithful.
I don't think his role will change too much, but I think one thing which might change is how often he wants to use him off the bench, because I think one big factor why I think he was so against playing him, especially during maybe last month and maybe obviously during the spell probably between September and October, I just don't think he trusted his technical quality enough, and I think it's a bit too loose on the ball. And I think showing in that game especially, that cameo, I think scoring a goal like that as well just gives some confidence as well. I think it's going to be very, very important for him. And I just do maybe think, because I think in recent weeks, which I actually haven't been too pleased about, is that it feels like our first sub at the minute is Jack Stacey. So I think having Amankwah Forson come good off the bench is very, very good timing for Norwich, because it feels like, especially if Norwich are to win games at this level, I don't see it coming off the bench. But I think obviously what Forson did yesterday, I think it gives Norwich more confidence internally, especially with JHT and everyone else in and around the scene. I think it just gives them a bit more faith that Norwich can actually be a bit more of a threat off the bench. And I just think just perfect. I just think Schwartau and Sainz probably suit starting more to what Forson would. I think Forson probably can be quite an unreliable player in a sense that you never quite know what you're going to get from him regularly. So I do think his status has probably slightly changed, but I don't think it's massively changed to an extent where I see him starting regularly until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think in those games where he played against Wayne Rooney's Plymouth and Luton, he did. I think he started both of those games, And I think the main criticism was that he looked a little bit lost and a little bit lacking in confidence. There's no better way to boost your confidence than to curl one in from 25 yards. Not to coin the joke from the IT crowd about Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, but Norwich just seemed to want to walk it in. And that seems to be one of Torup's very kind of intricate tactics of trying to find the perfect moment, the perfect pass to slip someone in, to tap it in. I've been saying this all season that I just want players just to smack it from whatever angle they can. So to see Nunez curl one in against QPR, to see Nunez ping one in against Luton, and to see Forson, who's clearly listening to me on the podcast, whack it in. He just proves my tactical nous, really. I don't really know what formation Torup was using right at the end, because it seemed like Duffy was on the wing. I just, at the end, nothing really made sense. But, this is obviously a player that we've spent a lot of money on. And I'd much rather that he was kind of a young player who was still a bit of a rough diamond that we could still kind of polish a little bit, rather than, a 29-year-old who played Champions League football and was very highly regarded by Will Grant. He was. I tweeted. There's physical proof. I caught you. In terms of whether Forson will kick on, I mean, it's a great moment for him. It's obviously a great moment for the rest of the squad in terms of their confidence. But again, what is his position? He kind of came in as a centre mid, but he can also play on the wing, much like Henry. I quite like Schwartau at right mid, and maybe the Brighton game is a free hit just to mix it up a little bit, give him a chance. But yeah, I think kind of when those substitutions came on, Gordon and Forson, I think you're looking at us 1-0 down. You're kind of, you're huffing a little bit and you're feeling a little bit despondent. I think a lot of people, especially Rob Butler, tweeted saying that this was an advert for how we need to strengthen in January. I mean, it's kind of true, but again, if Forson comes off the bench and scores 2 in the 90th minute every time he comes on, then bang up for it.
Yeah, and what you mentioned there, going from the right wing to the left wing, I think we probably should mention Borja Sainz in this, because he's had quite a lively festive period, but he hasn't actually scored. I believe he's gone. Is it 8 or 9 games now without a goal? Yeah. What do we make of Borja Sainz? Because there were calls as well from some Norwich fans that we should probably sell him in January because of his discipline or lack thereof, it maybe. Obviously, he's now got this FA charge hanging over his head as well, in terms of a alleged spitting incident, which could see him get up to a 6-game ban. We'll find out for sure what's going to happen on Tuesday, but he's already been fined by the FA. But what do you think on that? Because for me, I still think Borja Sainz is a key player, and yes, we're 4 points off the playoffs now, and we simply wouldn't be in that position if it was for Borja Sainz. But I think when he gets frustrated, the team reacts negatively, and it directly impacts the team. Exactly the same as when Emi Buendia would often lose his cool. It would negatively impact the team rather than as well as Emi Buendia. And I think it's the same with Borja Sainz now. So what are your guys' thoughts on him quickly?
Well, I think it's many things, really. I think many teams are trying to find ways to stop him, and it's working. There feels like there's much less space for Sainz to operate within now, and that kind of means that Sainz has got to be almost perfect in a very, very quick second as such. So it's got to be spot on most of the time now. And I just think, obviously, he has played against some quite tough fullbacks. Obviously, he had I think it was Jimmy Dunn who was against QPR as well. So he's playing against a lot of centre half, playing fullback as well. So that's obviously an issue. But I think mainly what I've noticed in recent games is just his decision making. It feels like he's going for. It feels like he's almost too confident, and he's going for like an insane shooting angle rather than like an acute pass. I think back to that game. I think it was the QPR game when I think it was built like Hernandez, like right in the middle of the goal, and he decides to shoot. So I think it's a combination of many things as well. But it's obvious to watch as well that Norwich are still trying to get Borja Sainz on the ball in really dangerous areas. Like it almost feels like our passing play is just destined for him to try and score a goal outside the box. The way we play, the way that we try and shift the ball to the left-hand side quickly, it's evident, right? So I think it's many things really, and I'll probably even go as far as to say I think teams are starting to try and find formulas about how to stop us playing, and I think most of those formulas are involving Borja Sainz. I do think he has been a bit hot-headed recently, a bit frenetic in terms of in front of goal as well. But I just think it's about just trying to keep him humble a bit, really, because it feels like there are many chances which he's scuffing at the minute as well. They're not all like major chances as such, but they are starting to mount up a little bit, and I feel like a sense of frustration as well. So I think there's many things, but there is no way that Norwich should be sending Borja Sainz, because I think Norwich aren't ready for that to happen, because you look at our squads. I don't think there will be any players that could step up to his role, and then you'd have to almost make almost like a new idea in attack about how you're going to score a goal, really, because it always kind of feels like it's the end goal is to try and get to Borja Sainz. So I think there's many factors why he's been a bit under par, but I think it's just a moment of just believing in his quality and just hoping he'll come good. I mean, he's still the top goal scorer. He's still got 18 goal contributions this season as well. So he's doing so well. It's just about hopefully him getting quite a crap goal soon, and hopefully trying to start quite a good run of games. But I still believe in Borja, definitely.
Freddie, I'll let you have your opinion on it.
No, I'll let you go first.
Oh, all right then. The way I view it is Borja Sainz, he speaks Spanish, right? What language do they speak in Peru? Spanish. What's one of the more popular livestock creatures that you find in Peru? Llamas. All I'm saying is Borja is just channeling his inner llama because he's a bit Spanish, and you should leave him alone. I don't know if the ex-girlfriend of the head of the FA is now going out with Johannes Hoff-Torp. I don't want to create rumours or anything like that. But what have the FA got against us? Like, if he's going to, be done for 6 games for dribbling ever so slightly, maybe towards the general direction of someone, does Luke O'Nien get a 10-match ban for elbowing him in the face?
That being said, though, I think all of these are, well, what happens if this happened in scenario X or scenario Y? I do think they're valid, and especially for Kenny McLean when he got retroactively suspended against QPR. But if Borja Sainz has done this and has spat on a player or at a player, it's absolutely abhorrent, and he definitely deserves that 6-match ban. So sorry for interrupting, Jack, but I think that is important to note as well.
I agree, but I want to see the receipts. I have absolutely no evidence. It might have happened, and if he has done it, then he needs to stop being a silly little boy and just focus on his football. But maybe he is just channeling his inner llama. We should leave him alone. I don't know. Maybe the FA will charge someone else as well. But clearly there's an agenda against us. I'm not going to peddle that too much because I don't want to get banned by the FA.
No, yeah. Well, the way in which I see it, I agree with a lot of what Will said just now about how Norwich do seem that they want to force the play through one player who is their best player. There is no denying it. Unless someone really has a phenomenal second half of the season, no one gets close. They don't. It would take something spectacular to get near to the performance levels, or at least the performance output that Borja Sainz has contributed. To have 2 hat-tricks by the halfway point in the season is very good. You can't really look at the statistics and can't say it's phenomenal, and Norwich should do everything in their power to keep him. But then you can easily flip that on its head, at least I think, in my personal viewpoint. I think if you are trying to focus your game plan through one single player, albeit he is your best player, he's your top goal scorer, if that is genuinely the way in which you want to play football as a manager, for me, you shouldn't be a manager. You should be finding other ways and other players, much like, Forson, for example, albeit that probably has elements of luck to it. But you have to look at other options, and you have to look at what else you have in order to help you win games. Even though Borja hasn't scored in 8 or 9 games, maybe it's less, maybe it is that exact number, Norwich are still getting points as of late. They have 10 points from their last 12, and that's, I think Borja Sainz has contributed to 1 goal in that 4-match run, and that was Forson's first goal on Saturday. So even when he's not performing and not really putting in much output, Norwich is still winning games. They still have individuals who can get them points, and they still have a cohesive unit who are very strong with one another. There's been the point that I somewhat agree with it, I somewhat don't. I think it's fair for some to make, but I think it's also maybe a tad unfair that Borja Sainz is playing for Borja Sainz. He's not playing for Norwich City Football Club. I think maybe you can see as to why he might, because he's had a phenomenal season and he'll want to raise his own value through great performances. But he's still a Norwich City player. And whenever we score, he's full of joy for his teammates. He runs over to them, he hugs them, he high-fives them, he joins in the celebrations with the fans. If that was a player who was playing for himself, you don't lose passion and you don't lose willingness to celebrate with everyone around you. But as for really, should Norwich City sell? I'm in the camp of, I think yes. I think Norwich City should cash in on Borja Sainz. Am I saying this because he's not scored in a while? No, I'm not saying that, because I still believe he is a truly exceptional footballer. And much like Will said, without Borja Sainz, Norwich they'd be a few places lower in the table. You can't disagree with that, because you do take away a lot of goals from this Norwich team, and therefore you do lose a lot of points. But I think in terms of when they've got a player who is worth significant value, and yes, there is a bit of a discipline problem there, but the longer a sort of barren run in front of goal goes, I mean, Sainz could end the season on 15 goals and it would still be great. I won't disagree with that. But when I feel as if now Sainz is probably at the peak of his value, and with a January transfer window here where Norwich can reinvest all of that money, maybe they may not do it successfully. We've seen it in the past where they've not spent very smartly when they've sold a player for big money. But in a transfer window where you can really reinvest and you can give more money to the manager who's starting a new project, I just think from that perspective, I think it would make sense. That's just what I feel. There'll probably be a lot of people who disagree with that. I can see it as Jack flashes up an utter woke nonsense meme with Torup's face on it for those who couldn't see it. But for me, that's just what I think. I know a lot of people would disagree with it. I can see it, at least 2 of you are shaking your heads at me. But from my standpoint, I think Borja Sainz, if he sold, I wouldn't be overly upset. But that's just what I have to say.
I agree with your rationale. Oh, sorry, Hammer, you go, mate.
I was going to say, I think the points you raised were very valid, but I think Borja Sainz has been a match winner before just by himself, and yeah, I think we'd basically this season would already be written off if it wasn't for the goals and goal contributions of Borja Sainz. And there's been a lot of discourse around this period of Borja Sainz playing for himself, and maybe took that on board for the assist for Amankwah Forson, because he's few yards outside the penalty area. It would have been easy for him to shoot there and probably put it wide of the post, and then Norwich go on to potentially lose the game. So the fact that he played a delicate ball into Forson, who put it top corner, again shows Borja Sainz's maturity in that part as well.
Yeah, I think we are in a league position right now where I think it would be the worst case scenario if that was to happen. And I think I do see some pros to your point, but I just have to go back to an event what actually happened at half time. And there was just like where I sit, especially at KWAH, there was quite a fair volume of boos at half time. Although I don't personally agree with that, it still feels that JHC still has to get some buy-in by some fans. That's completely fine. So I just think as well, when you just look at the squad overall, maybe taking away Sargent, but when you look at the likes of Forson, Cernach, Gordon, Schwartel, in those like attacking roles, I just don't think any of them would be able to step up as much as what Sainz would do so. And especially when our play has been so orchestrated around Sainz this season, I just don't think right now, like we're ready as a team to kind of evolve past Sainz. I still think Norwich need him in and around the club just to try and retain some buy-in from the supporters, really, because at the end of the day, it is quite a lot of money to be watching a so-called transition season as well. So I just think it's really important just to try and keep him this season, and if that means maybe £5 million less in August in the summer window, then so be it. But I just think it's really important that we still are able to retain some buy-in from the supporters about how good this project could be.
Borja Sainz does stay at the club. It's actually quite remarkable how similar this season could be to last season. I know we're not the first podcast to compare Johannes Hotterup to David Wagner, or sort of maybe pick apart where their differences are. But last season under David Wagner, we had a blistering start. We're top of the league, had that period where Jonathan Rowe just would not stop scoring. Then we had the awful patch, and then due to players coming back from suspension and players coming back from injury, we managed to sail up the table and get into the playoffs. Borja Sainz still potentially has a 6-game ban hanging over his head. If we keep him, by the time those 6-game bans are over, touch wood, if no one else gets injured, Josh Sargent should be back at that point. So it could then be really reminiscent, and we could really push up the table and start a playoff charge. So that's why, for me, don't get me wrong, I get why people say cash in on Sainz. I do get it. And I think the fact that you hold that opinion, Freddie, is very valid. But for me, with that potential of mounting a proper charge if Sargent's nearing a return from injury, I think it's too... I think we have to keep him, really. I think we'd be kicking ourselves if we were to sell him and then Sargent comes back and his chemistry with Borja Sainz is then displaced.
I think that's all very fair. It's completely fair. Football's a game of opinions, and it'd be very boring if everyone agreed with each other. So no, I can very much respect all the points that you've all made. So no, I think it's all very fair. No, and well, if anyone else wants to let us know their thoughts, put it down in the comments section. Let us all know, and maybe we'll talk about them this time next week. But no, we'll move on. Of course, with January, you don't just get a new year and a new calendar, one with mushrooms on if you're Henry. But no, we go into a transfer window where Norwich have already been very active. 5 days have gone of it. They've signed a player, and you know if you watched the last video we did, it's done quite well. So thank you to those who have watched, and any new subscribers we got from it as well. A very big thank you. In fact, that our subscriber tally, while I'm on it, that went up to 2,000. So a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has either stayed subscribed while the channel was off, or has come here and subscribed to us since us four revamped it in the summer months. So no, a massive thank you to anyone who has liked our content enough to hit the red button. But if you haven't already yet and you're watching, it takes 2 seconds. Just hit the red button and get that tally riling up. Here's to the next 1,000. Who knows? We may even hit it when the season ends and we can properly party. But no, we'll wait and see. But we'll go back to the window. Norwich have signed Lewis Dobbin on loan. He started the season at West Brom, didn't score or get an assist after 18 matches. It's now 19 because he didn't score an assist against Coventry, but that's perhaps quite unfair to the lad. Norwich have also sold 2 players, not for any money, but they've sold 2 players. Christian Fasnacht has gone back to BSC Young Boys in Switzerland, and Ashley Barnes has gone back to Burnley for the remainder of the season. And if for the pair of them, fair enough, because not really getting too much game time this season, whether that's been down to injuries or just not being preferred by the new manager in Torup. But they've gone back to sides who, they know very well, and I'm sure they'll be welcomed back with open arms. But from what you've seen of the first 5 days of the window, potentially another incoming in Matej Jurasek from Slavia Praha as well. But that's yet to happen. When a transfer video comes, then you'll know it'll be happening soon, because every time I've done a video, the player's signed within a day. So when you see it, it's like Romano's "Here we go." I'll have to get my own catchphrase sorted sooner or later. But no, all 3 of you, what have you made of Norwich's early business in the window, and the fact that it was said last month that the Itadacios are willing to help the club spend some money? We know that the club want a winger and a defensive midfielder. Already got Dobbin in on loan as well. This could be quite a promising January for once in a Norwich City world.
Yeah, 100%. I think Lewis Dobbin has the potential to be quite a good signing. That being said, he's only on a 6-month loan from Aston Villa. Do I think we'll sign him permanently? Probably not. So I think in terms of filling that void that's maybe been left in terms of the squad depth after Fasnacht's departure, I think it does the job. And he's a hell of a lot younger than Christian Fasnacht anyway, and has more potential. Got that bit of experience in the Premier League as well. I believe he scored for Everton last season against Chelsea, so already has that bit of Premier League know-how. So for me, I'm happy with the Dobbin signing. I think going on to the outgoings, Christian Fasnacht wasn't really ever going to get a look in ever again, really, for Norwich. So that one made complete sense to get rid of him. Barnes, I was more shocked by. I think, he even played on New Year's Day. So I think the quick turnaround on that I was quite shocked about. But even before the window, there were murmurs that he would be leaving, albeit they were linking Sheffield United to him. And I thought that would probably be his destination. But to go back to Burnley, they're sort of similar clubs, aren't they? So it doesn't really surprise me, and it's a club he knows well. So whilst potentially Barnes did have more to offer this season and could have contributed more, it makes sense for him, and it makes sense for both the football clubs involved. So I think in terms of outgoings, we've done a really good job. But as you alluded to there, Freddie, we're not done yet. We still need more players. We still probably need another winger. Yes, we can get by with what we've got, but I think one more and that'll be ideal really for Norwich. Another defensive midfielder, hopefully finally getting that Tessie replacement is necessary as well. And to be honest, probably another striker. But if Josh Sargent's coming back from injury in the coming weeks or a month or so, then is there really any point getting a striker in to play 4 or 5 games? I'm not too sure. So yeah, just as long as we prioritise the defensive midfield position and another winger, then I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, my thoughts are quite mixed on our window so far. I do see why Barnes and Fasnacht will both leave the club, and I've got no problem with that as such. But I wasn't like an overly massive Barnes hater as such. I think he did add some value, especially that Portsmouth game after we came back from quite a difficult game against QPR. I think having him in the team just to try and get the ball back rolling again was quite important. I think he gives us an aerial presence as well. So I think there's definitely his profile did help us in some situations, but at the end of the day, his career is coming to a close soon. So in terms of whether Norwich should get a new striker as such, and I'm unsure really because as a fan, you always kind of want one more. And I think obviously as well with Josh Sargent's injury as well, that's always going to be a really current topic as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Norwich are looking at some good deals for a potential striker profile. But I think the Lewis Dobbin signing it was very interesting for me really because I think it was labelled as a Christian Facet replacement, whereas every time I've seen Dobbin, he's more better off the left-hand side. So I was quite surprised at that rationale behind that. But I think if you look at Borja Sainz' situation as well, there could be a real chance next game actually in the league that we see a potential Dobbin, Sargent, Schwartau maybe front three. So that could be quite an interesting case study to observe. But definitely a player that has got obvious ability. I know he scored in the Premier League against Chelsea for Everton. So there's definitely some talent there. Obviously, he hasn't hit the world of light with goals and assists yet, but I hope that does continue. Hopefully that does stop in the near future, really, because I think for a player, I think obviously it's never really easy, is it, when you're on the bench for quite a long period of time as well. So I just think he needs a run of games really, and someone that can believe in him. As long as he's trying every day to be quite a unique profile in a sense that he can give us some one-on-one threat, because it feels like that's what we are needing right now. It feels like although Norwich have got a lot of real good technical operators, it just still does feel like to me that we need that like one-on-one specialist, and hopefully he can provide it really, because obviously Kate Gordon hasn't been that. So yeah, overall, I'm very excited to see what else we could do in the window. I think that Duraset player does definitely sound very interesting. I'm definitely open to that as well, because it feels like that right wing slot is still very, very in need of some change, because although Schwartau has showcased that he can be a good player in some games, I'm just not overly convinced as of yet by his consistency. And to be fair to him, he's only 18 as well, so I can't give him too much stick. But I'm very curious to see what's to come, because there's a lot of very interesting outgoings and very, very interesting replacements as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no messing around by Napa. Obviously, Dobbin, he's got the number 22 shirt, no pressure. And again, no pressure, because you have the opportunity to be the best January loan signing since Mitchell Dykes. Have we had a better January loan signing since Mitchell Dykes? It's not a good omen. But again, I kind of think a lot of people alluded to this, that we're looking at Sainz out for 6 games. So just getting someone else that's vaguely competent at left wing kind of makes sense. Fasnacht and Barnes both being released. Well done, Weber. Fantastic business yet again. Going right back to the clubs that we got them from. People say, they probably weren't on a lot of wages. They probably were. They were probably some of our highest earners. So to get them off the bill, there's obviously other players, like you said, that we're looking at. I don't think Newcastle will want to re-sign Grant Hanley. I don't think that's a return that's going to happen. But I mean, in terms of Barnes' contribution, yes, he was fantastic under Wagner, sort of in that weird number 10 position behind Sargent. He was that annoying striker in the Championship that we wanted. But what is he now? Like 34, 35? I watched the Blackburn-Burnley game, and he was being heralded like the next Messiah. And I was sort of looking around like, have I missed something? Have we just released Messi or something? Have we why is he being like, I get that he's a cult hero, but like it's not like he's going to be a game changer for Burnley. It's just a bit of a good vibe signing. I have to say my favourite Ashley Barnes moment, which was I'm going to get a yellow card, but I don't care. In that game over there against them lot, where in like the 5th minute he decided to clatter their keeper for no reason whatsoever. Absolutely top tier poo housery. Am I? That's a word. That's safe. And yeah, like Fasnacht as well. I think Torup started him against Oxford, saw 45 minutes, and I don't think played him ever again. He might have done, but I think
Wise
that was
man.
enough. Hey?
Wise man.
What?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he clearly saw that, you know, a winger with no pace is about as useful as Will with an empty bar. You know, what's he supposed to do? Like, do the washing up? Yeah, no, I think obviously there's lots of business still to be done. Us having money potentially is good. I think the idea of us not signing a striker is bananas, because we do at the moment. We don't really have a striker on the bench other than Onel Hernandez, which, Will, I know how much you back him as a forward. If you all want to look back over the West Brom prediction and the formation that Will chose, there's evidence there as well. We've got you. Oh, look at that. Yeah, well done, Frederick. But yes, no, I think we need to get a striker in. Controversial. Do we recall Ken Abbo, who's not getting a sniff at Stevenage, or you know, just have him on the bench? Frederick, did you want to intervene?
Sorry, yeah, just because I don't know how reliable it is, but I've been hearing and seeing reports that is something Norwich want to do. I think they want to recall Aboa because he's barely I think he's not even played double-digit matches for Stevenage. So that seems like a really wasted loan spell. I think he scored, yeah, but no, he's barely playing. So I think it would be smart to probably recall him, but they'll just probably send him out on loan again to someone who needs him. Yeah. I don't know, someone like Boreham Wood or someone like that.
That's harsh.
Yeah, in terms of, I was going to say, in terms of striking options, we could have Abbo back, or we could just sign Paul Mullin from Wrexham.
No, stop this now. Stop. You know what? We got the second one of the podcast. Stop this now with Paul Mullin. Stop it, because I've had enough. I've had enough of Paul Mullin coming to Norwich. He scored 1 goal in League One. What would he do in the Championship?
Freddie, mate, you say that, but there could be a real chance that he's at Carrow Road in about 8 months' time for Wrexham.
Yeah, it's a fair point, but he won't be there if they're in the Championship.
Let's face it, if they get promoted to the Championship, Paul Mullin is not staying. And something else that I did want to pull up, Jack, you said about good omens. Well, it's sort of a bad omen, really, but if only there was someone else who played for Everton in the Premier League and scored notable goals against Chelsea in that season in the Premier League, and then came to Norwich in the January transfer window.
No. Is Dobbins Scottish as well?
No, he's English. He's English.
Okay, all right. Maybe
you know if you watch the video.
Yeah. That's where the coincidence ends.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you know what time it is.
What? Is it the Luftwaffe? Do we have to go and hide in our bunkers?
Yeah.
No. It's Quickfire time. It's the return of the Quickfire hot takes after a few weeks out. Now, we spout pure nonsense every week on here to anyone who's never seen it. You know, that's why I've just played a nuke sound off my phone into my little plug-in microphone on my laptop. But no, what Jack does, for anyone who's not familiar with this or forgot how we do things around here on the MFW channel, right at the end of the podcast, we save our best bits till last, really. Jack does 5 questions. I don't know if he's gone back to 10 for the new year. I don't know if he's done a special, but no, we get some quick questions, and usually me, Henry, and Will answer them, but maybe Jack will answer as well. We'll wait and see, but I'll let you take it away after the Quickfire alarm has gone off for the first time this year.
Terrifying. utterly terrifying. So I did write some Christmas-themed quickfire hot takes, but obviously because we didn't record over the Christmas, they hadn't been used. So there are 5 there, and then 5 normal ones. If you do want 10.
do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
Okay.
We'll have 10. It's the new year. We'll have 10.
Yeah. All right. Let's pretend it's Christmas Eve, right? Let's get our tree back out.
Let's pretend it's Christmas
Eve. Get your Santa trackers out, everyone. He's somewhere over somewhere now. Oh, well, there you go. I still have is my tree still there? Yeah. Which way am I? There you go. That's still there. The tree. I can pretend as much as I want.
On the 5th of January.
It's the third strike. It's the third strike. Oh dearie me. No,
okay.
I'll let you.
If you are watching this in the future and it is Christmas, then you don't have to pretend. But if you're watching this, probably like everyone is going to in January, then just pretend. Which current player would you most like to get in Secret Santa, and what would you buy them?
I reckon Marcelino Nunez, because he just seems the happiest man ever. And I would get him. Oh, what would I get him? I reckon I'd get him the game of Hungry Hippos. I just think he'd have so much fun playing with it. I think he'd just sit there all day and he'd just really enjoy himself.
Henry?
I'd love to get Angus Gunn, and I'd get him a new Norwich City contract.
Ooh! Well done. That was the smartest answer you'll hear for the next 10 minutes.
Well, I was actually going to use Nunez as well, and I was going to buy him an English dictionary because he can't speak English yet. So that was my one. But I was going to say one really horrible about a certain goalkeeper, but I'm not going to say anything more about that. Next question, please, Jack.
Just in case you're wondering, I would have gone with Kenny McLean and a bottle of Mad Dog.
Along the food or drink lines, though, someone should buy Marcelino Nunez the Jubbly ice pops.
Oh, mate.
Fantastic. Next one. Which player do you think would cook the best Christmas dinner?
Ooh. Again, a question. It really makes you think this, because I'm trying to think of someone who's from like a culinary background somewhat, but none of them really are. You know what? I reckon Grant Hanley cooks a mean Sunday dinner.
The thickest gravy imaginable.
Exactly.
None of that watery nonsense.
Yeah. Well, as we're pretending it's Christmas, we'll roll the clock back to Christmas so that he can still be counted in my answer. I'm going for Ashley Barnes. I just think he knows his way around a kitchen.
Due to poor Jakob Sorensen being injured for quite a lot of the season and in prior campaigns as well, I think he watches too much Jonathan Road. I think I'm going to go for, and I reckon he watches recipes, he gets inspired, and I think he would cook an absolutely scrumptious Christmas dinner, and he would have more importantly, he would not have any cranberry sauce. And so for me, Jakob Sorensen, I reckon you cook up an absolute storm, mister.
Very nice.
I think Shane Duffy. I think he knows his way around a Yorkshire pudding. Personally, I might be
also
wrong.
knows his way around ditches in the road. No, sorry. I was going to say. No, sorry, that's horrible. He's been very good this season.
I was going to say a roundabout there, so.
Oh, right.
No, I feel horrible now.
No. To be fair, though, he has missed the trick if he doesn't ever release a charity single called Ditches in the Road. It's a perfect song title.
No, speaking of Christmas and songs, Driving Home for Christmas is quite apt. Maybe you're concerned for the Duffy family, but no, I'm sure he's all right. He's been good
Merry
this year.
Christmas, Shane. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Well done, Shane. You're a top boy.
I cannot speak.
Which Norwich player is most likely to cheat at Monopoly?
Oh,
easy.
You see, it's not easy for me. I'm trying to think actually, you know what? Oh, again, it's a harsh one. This, seeing as he cheated a contract, I think George Long would be pretty good.
Wow, what a way
Sorry,
to
that's
kick
so
off the year.
harsh. He's so harsh. I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry, but no, I reckon any one of them would be good at cheating. To be fair,
easy. Borja Sainz. He loves just slipping the 20s away.
I was going to go for Grant Hanley because there are many times I see him get away with the most stupid free kicks, and I think he would translate that into Monopoly. So, Grant Hanley, I'm going for you.
I was going to say Borja as well. He'd be a sneaky operator. Which Norwich player do you think would be most excited to receive socks?
Oh, just got to think of someone who's just not had much fun. Someone who's a bit dull, maybe isn't much of a character. Or you go with one of the older boys. They probably quite like socks. Actually, you know what? I reckon Nunez as well. I think he just gets happy with anything you give him. I reckon he'd actually be buzzing with a pair of socks.
I think it depends where you get them from. Because if you can get socks from Argos, then Ono Hernandez, definitely.
Well, I was going to go as well for Nunez, but you know what? I reckon Angus Gunn, because there are many times as a goalkeeper, about 50 games a season, you've got to stand in goal all game in the freezing cold, most likely. And I think a nice warm pair of socks would go down very, very, very nicely for Angus Gunn. So I'm going to get Angus Gunn.
I'm going to go for Sorensen, probably because he needs them, but I don't know, maybe the sight of some socks and some boots will upset him. I don't know. And the final Christmassy themed one. If you could deliver the squad a Christmas Day speech, much like King Charlie, what would you say?
Oh my goodness me. Well, King Charles sort of does it based on the year before, doesn't he? Well, I'd probably just sort of bring up the just what happened. I'd bring up the Leeds catastrophe, probably a couple of the PR disasters. But overall, I'd just tell them to keep their heads high and go again, and just where are you? Let's be having you.
Yeah, just speak about passion. You know, we don't let Leeds in the playoff happen again, and we play for the shirt. This badge that you're wearing on your kit is the most important badge you'll ever wear on your chest. We already were let down by one imbecile on opening day in Jonathan Rowe. That is not happening again. Rowe's gone. Now we only have players who are committed to Norwich City Football Club here, and that's how it will stay. We are rising up that table. We are getting into the playoffs. We're winning the playoffs. We will be in the Premier League.
Henry is our leader. Henry is our leader. Nah. Get Henry in the dressing room. Team motivator. Do it.
Go on, Will. Follow that up.
I will.
Yeah,
okay, so we have seen Josh Dawkins play for this football club. We have seen Timo Pukki play for this football club. That is hundred years of absolute Norwich City history. Every single one of those yellows bleeded for that shirt. So if you do not defend a set piece in the first 10 minutes, then you're getting off that pitch, because it wore yellow army up the notch, bin the blues, and Kieran McKenna likes to have fun with a certain animal.
And then just add in Nick
Will.
Stanley.
Nick Stanley, we trust. Yeah. Go on, Jack.
I'd probably just say, look, don't listen to Nick. He ain't got a clue. He's just here to make up the numbers. Don't listen to Johannes. Like, if you want to score goals, just knock them in, smack them in, go pigeon style, and then we might win the playoffs. Yeah, but no, I mean, Henry, you win that one. I feel touched. Will, you're a silver medal, but Henry, you're an inspiration. We're running out of time, but very quickly, let's go through the other 5. And I want proper quick fire now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Who was the most improved player in 2024?
Shane Duffy.
Shane Duffy.
I'm going to go for Laos.
Callum Fisher, IMO. If you could give the Barry Butler for performances over a calendar year, who would you give it to for 2024?
Joshua Sargent.
Borja Sainz.
I thought it meant like performances of like certain games.
No, as in the Barry Butler's for a season, but if you were to give it just for performances in 2024.
Oh wow. You know what? I think for consistency, I might have to go Nunes.
He hasn't even played for half of it, but I'd still give it to Sarah. Controversial, I don't care. Who was the most overrated player in 2024?
Oh, time for some controversial answers. Overrated. Angus Gunn.
Oh no, Hernandez.
Anis Ben Simone.
Ooh. I'm going to be boring and agree with Freddie. I think Gunny. I think he's not been that fantastic. Who will be Norwich's top goal scorer at the end of 2025?
Oh, so he'll have half of this season and half of next. But is anyone going to score more than 15 goals? Oh, probably not. It's going to be Borja Sainz realistically.
Borja Sainz.
Anti Cernach.
Josh Sargent, I think he'll come back. And the final one, where should Norwich sit in the table on New Year's Eve 2025?
Well, I read your prediction piece, so I know what you're going to say. Second in the Championship.
Third in the Championship.
I think the expectation will be for Norwich to finish by New Year's Day around 6th in the Championship.
20th in the Premier League. No, I'm kidding. I think 6th. I said in my prediction that 6th. And if you want to read my predictions, they're on the MyFootballWriter website. I did lots of writing over Christmas, so do give them a look. I give Will a shout out because he's fantastic and a far better writer than me. But yes, those are all. What?
No.
That's harsh.
Saying...
I rescind it. You know what? I'll give myself one for giving it.
Yay, thank you. That's not woke nonsense. But yes, that is your lot for Quickfire. We're no longer at Christmas, by the way. It is now January. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to focusing. Let's get back to Norwich winning the playoffs.
Yeah, no, stay right on. I agree. No, well, thank you all for tuning in once again, whether you're on YouTube or you're sitting there watching us or you're in your car listening on Spotify. Maybe you're on the bus or whatever. Maybe you're at work and you're really bored. You got some new headphones like Henry and you're listening into the podcast. But no, a big thank you to everyone who watched and listened to us in 2024. But we all wish you a very excellent 2025. Sorry, I couldn't find the word to describe it there, so I'll just go with excellent. But no, hope you all have a wonderful new year. This has been episode 27 of the MFW podcast. It's goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video of ours or the next podcast on Spotify.